Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post-closing ceremony. My name is Michael Kelly, and joining this evening from the Australian Army is Trooper Alan Hasler. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors. Could I ask you to please stand and join in singing the Australian National Anthem?
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the records which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths of floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Sapper Frank Wilfred Platt, born in Brisbane on the 27th of September 1924. Frank Platt was the son of Frank and Martha Platt. He attended school at Brisbane Grammar on a scholarship, and after graduation he studied bookkeeping and arithmetic at university while working as a clerk. He was mobilised for the militia on October 1942 and volunteered for the 2nd Australian Imperial Force in February 1945. In May, Platt was posted to the 1st Training Battalion, Royal Australian Engineers, at the large Australian Army training base at Kapooka. However, in the afternoon of the 21st of May 1945, tragedy struck. Crowded in a dugout during a routine demolition exercise on the preparation of hand charges were two groups. One consisted of 22 trainees and 2 instructors. There was also a smaller squad of 3 men and 1 instructor. Inside the dugout was 110 pounds of explosive that had been stored for the day's training. In circumstances that remain unknown to this day, the explosives ignited. In the explosion, 24 men were killed instantly. 2 later died of their injuries, and 2 more were severely wounded. Frank Platt was one of those killed in this accident. He was 20 years old. A mass funeral was held for the men in Wagga Wagga on the 24th of May. Thousands of people lined the route of the funeral parade. The 26 flag-draped coffins were carried on 4 army trucks. The cortege included over 100 military vehicles carrying members of the Australian Army and Air Force. The dead were buried in the Wagga Wagga War Cemetery. Platt's name, along with the 25 others killed in that accident, are listed here on the Roll of Honour to my left, among the 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. This is one of but many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Sapper Frank Wilfred Platt, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Could I please ask anyone that's sitting to stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post?
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or on the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today, and we wish you a safe trip home.